Hello friends, I'm Crazy, and you're watching PowetToys.
Action figures.
In this episode, I get to show off my new shelving with the first releases from Mattel's exclusive Masters of the Universe Classics line. Now the basic premise for this line is that once a month, the 15th of every month, a new figure goes on sale on Mattel's website, MattelCollector.com. Now the figures retail for about $20 American plus shipping and handling. And you won't be able to find these figures at Target or Toys R Us or Walmart. They are exclusive to MattelCollector.com. Heman and Beastman went on sale on December 15th. On January 15th, Skeletor went on sale. February will bring us Stratos, I believe. And the March figure was originally supposed to be Merman, but due to a production issue, he's been pushed back to April. In his place, we're going to get Faker instead. Now Faker is going to be the New York Comic Con exclusive for Mattel. Originally he was only going to be offered as the convention exclusive and not offered on the site, but due to Merman's production issues, the fans win in the end, and he's going to be made available on MattelCollector.com for March. As I said before, April will bring us Merman on April 15th, and he will actually come with two heads. One, so he will look like the classic Merman, and one that actually looks a lot more similar to the newer Mike Young Productions version of Merman. Now the way Mattel has presented this line has been a little misleading in three respects. First, character selection. Mattel reps on numerous occasions have stated that this line will celebrate the Masters of the universe in all of its different iterations, and that includes Princess of Power, New Adventures of He-Man, and the newer Mike Young Productions version of Masters of the Universe. And while that is true, we've also been told we'll only be getting characters from the Classic series for the first year, which really leaves fans of the other series kind of teased and disappointed. Now more recently, we've heard that New Adventures of He-Man and Princess of Power will be working their way into the line in early 2010, which is still an extremely long way up. But they are Mattel is working the lines into the Classics line, which is great news, and that they are listening to the fans. Next, sculpting type. Now, even though we won't be seeing figures from the other lines for the foreseeable future, Mattel went ahead and stated that when and if we do get these figures, they'll be done in the same retro chunky style that the first few figures from the line will be done in. Now, that seemed like an incredibly ambiguous statement that really left more questions than answers, and led to countless debates on pretty much every message board I went to. It really seemed like one of those questions they just should have just not answered, and because it was just way too early to tell. Lastly, packaging. Now Mattel reps have stated that they wanted the packaging really to pay tribute to the original Classic line, and I'll let this comparison image speak for most of the differences on the front of the package. As you can see, there are some significant differences on the front. Now, this was another point of contention on a number of message boards, however, it did not cause near the amount of debate the sculpting type did. Now, for the back of the packaging, we see featured the cross cells, which is pretty accurate to the old packaging in that the first couple of figures released in the original line actually had, for the back of the packaging, an 8-figure cross cell for the entire back. It was very short-lived, and shortly thereafter, some character art was placed at the top with like maybe a one-sentence description of the character and the scene. And in that character art's place on this new packaging are character bios. Zoom in here. And these bios, Mattel has said, will flesh out the backstory a little bit more on each of the characters, hopefully answer some long-time questions posed by fans. They've also stated that each of the bios are actually going to build toward a greater story, which is a neat little detail that Mattel put in. This is a blister card, so once you open it, there's no going back. The front of the bubble does have the little nipple that the original figures had. A neat little tribute. Before the packaging was revealed, I was initially hoping for something a little more display friendly, like a box that once I opened, I could put the figure back into once I was done taking photos of it or reviewing it. But we got the blister cards instead, and I have to say Mattel did a great job putting this whole package together. Now, one of the real selling points about this line is articulation, so I wanted to take the time to show you just how articulated He-Man is. Now, he has a ball joint on his neck, which allows a great range of movement. He has this abdominal hinge right here, which allows him to sort of do an ab crunch there. Is a ball joint on the shoulder, which once again allows for a great deal of movement. Is a cut bicep, which allows it to swivel, and an elbow hinge, which allows it to pivot up, and the wrist is also articulated, which allows great movement for when he's holding the sword. The other arm is articulated exactly the same way. He has a cut waist, which allows some side-to-side movement on the waist. It doesn't seem to go all the way. It's a pretty tight joint. He has a ball joint at the hip, which once again allows for a great deal of movement, but is mostly hidden by this sort of fur loincloth that most of the figures have or will have. Another hinge at the knee, and at the top of the boot, it has another cut joint. This is missing on Beastman. This is the only difference in articulation between He-Man and Beastman. And the ankle has another hinge, which definitely allows a great deal of movement and really allows for some dynamic poses. And there's just a little bit of a swivel, which allows the foot to sort of change, so it can be flat when the leg is at an angle. And the other leg has all of the same articulation. Very well put together and very forward thinking. For accessories, Beastman comes with his classic whip, which is much improved upon of the classic version that was just a handle with some string attached. He-Man comes with his sword, shield, axe, and half of the power sword. This line is going to feature a lot of part recycling, and what I mean by that is that certain body parts from one figure will be reused, the tooling will be reused rather, from figure to figure to try and cut on costs. And it's also something the original line did. I guess I was never really aware of it for what it was, but figure after figure after figure of the original line actually used the same parts. I found an excellent Flickr set on Flickr.com that really exemplifies this, and I'll post a link to it in the show notes. But as you can see, He-Man, Mechanic, Man-at-Arms, Fisto, Skeletor, Stinkor, Hordak, Triclops, Faker, Webstor, Jitsu, Merman, and Trapjaw all share very similar torsos. In fact, it's the same torso, just colored differently, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 of those characters needing a slight variation of it. Most notably Trapjaw for his mechanical arm. But doing this is very smart in that it allows you to save on tooling costs and sort of bank the money you would have spent on that tooling for future figures that require more changes, such as maybe Mechaneck, who would need an additional head. Another example of that would be Ram Man, who would need extensive retooling, if not just a new sculpt for his body. But you get the idea. Mattel is playing it smart and doing the right thing. What's that? A new challenger approaching? That's right. Skeletor has entered the fray. Now that Skeletor is here, one of the pieces he comes with, one of his accessories, is the other half to the power sword. Now, mine was a little bent in the package, not a big deal though. But now that I have it, we can put the two halves together. So you can see the male ends are on He-Man's half and the female ends are on Skeletor's half. So we just plug them in. And there we have the power sword. Pretty cool. Now, I could go on all day long about these toys, but why don't we actually take a look at them and see what they can do. Now, initially, I really wasn't wowed by this line. All I had seen were pictures online and I wasn't really impressed. But once I got the figures in hand, I was really surprised at how well they came out. They're really great figures, and I'm sad to say I'm hooked on yet another line now. Hopefully, as word gets out that this line is a real winner, Mattel will be able to meet demands, because Skeletor sold out in just under 2 weeks, where He-Man and Beastman took just about a full month to sell out, which is about where they were expecting. I think Skeletor sold out much more quickly than anticipated. But I really am looking forward to the future figures in this line, and I hope everyone will get a chance to check them out, because they're really cool. That's about all the time I have for today, so thanks for watching, and remember to check out Powet TV for all of your news on comics, gaming, toys, movies, music, and a whole lot more. Also, check out Powet TV every Wednesday for new episodes, not just of PowetToys, but also from our other series, including Keep Playing and Famicom Dojo. We've also started a new podcast, which I believe will be bi-weekly, released on Mondays. So give that a listen, and thanks for watching. Remember, kids, open your toys, otherwise you'll never realize you can do this.
By the power of Grayskull!